Well, that's not. I kind of like that. Old Gray Bricks is a go.
The old man's too slow.
We have liftoff.
I do feel like this should be old Canada though instead of this one. Come back.
Hello, welcome everybody. What are you showing?
If you don't have notifications for this show turned on, you should, because I'm getting them and I'm on the show. We're live.
Oh, so can you do the whole scene from Spaceballs where they're what part is this? This is now, and they keep going back and forth, which would be an amazing gift to have at my hand, but I don't have it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Messy Monday. It is a Lego Masters Messy Monday. Because we had 2 episodes of Lego Masters over the Thanksgiving break, and we are going to talk about them tonight. We have some other guests that hopefully will be popping in here, and we've got some folks popping in the chat, I hope, and everything. Oh, hey, was that a red spaceman? Was that a new red spaceman or an old red spaceman?
You knew just from looking at it. Oh, that's a new one.
No, I couldn't tell. I was wondering.
The printing on the chest looked pretty bright, so I'm going to go with new.
Yeah.
So I sold I by the way, just as announced, I sold my 1,000th order on Whatnot.
Look at you.
1,000 figs and giveaways and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And the show has made 500 here on our. Oh, wait. You see, hang on, I haven't checked lately to see if anybody actually has bailed out on it, so I don't know. That's at all possible. But anyway, so yeah, we're at 500 subscribers here, which means I can make posts, which I've done once, and everything. But I know I sold because I have for some reason I have like a buku of yellow classic space dudes. I don't know if that's just when I bought the most, but I mean I have like a bunch of, like a little girl has a bunch of naked Barbies in her room. I have a bunch of naked spaceman in the bucket over there. So every once in a while, I'll put one down, and as I sold it, I got a good price for it because it was really good and crisp, and it had the original thin strap on it. And I got it, but they said, "Let me see the inside just to prove that it's old." And I popped that open, and it actually didn't have a crisscross or anything. Oh. It was one of the super originals, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, you can have it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine."
You use the word buku, and I've never heard that term before. Other than
Buku?
Yeah, other than saying merci beaucoup, which is thank you very much in French. But what is that word?
That means a whole bunch.
Huh.
Many things.
It must be Southern.
It's a Southern thing.
It's the Southern is saying buku because it's pronounced boku.
Boku, yeah.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so it is French. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Our Canadian is already knocking on, making fun of us. But since we're talking about Lego Masters, our Canadian needs to show. We've got 2 episodes, so we'll show the results after the first episode that we're going to be talking about. Go ahead, put the percentage up. Let's see it. Come on.
It's already on. Just need to share.
Oh, I got to do it.
There
it is.
After this episode, 60% Canadian content. What is the like in Canada? We have the CRTC. What's the television community? This television, the government company that controls the television stations.
C-SPAN.
C-SPAN. Is that what it is? Like the content
on here.
Well, I mean, we have FCC in the U.S. That's where our TV laws that regulates things.
There you go. So the FCC is going to be knocking on Lego Masters' door soon to say, "Hey, you don't have enough American content on your U.S. show."
That's okay. Half the actors in Hollywood are Canadian anyway.
This is also true.
So, and you know what? Our chat over here is dominated by Canadians. Freaking Canadians everywhere.
They come for me. Wait, that didn't sound right. They come to see me. That's better.
Yeah, of all the nights for Gil to not be here,
right? That's true. That's true. All right. So the Canadians have taken a lead here in episode 9 and 60%.
Yep.
And go ahead. Let's go ahead and see it after episode 10.
All right. You asked for it.
I did.
Hard to read on the. There we go. Unhide. Episode
There
10.
we go.
There was one American team left. Hi, Greg. And 3 Canadian teams. So
It keeps going higher.
My hope is that Canada will probably lose a team in next week's episode.
Wait. What happens if it's all Canadian? We're just going to move the show to your channel. That's what's going to have to happen.
That would be hilarious. I could do the old gray with the EH bricks again.
Well, I have a question. Hang on. Yeah. I mean, he's an American citizen now, but Arnett is technically
Canadian.
Born, raised Canadian too. How does that factor into this? Is he just
I didn't think about that. So that means that Will Arnett's Canadian. Amy and Jamie. Amy's originally Scottish. Jamie's originally American, but they're both technically Danish now, I think, because
I'm calling shenanigans. We've got a conspiracy going here.
Yeah.
Just no. What are you talking about?
Now?
There's more Canadian content and hosts and everything than American now.
Yeah. So this can't be the USA. This is the North American, Lego.
Yeah. And I we're sorry about it, but it's just the way it is.
You're sorry, not sorry, is what it is. Yeah, that's right.
Much.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, jeez. So
all right.
But yeah.
So let's see. The episode, we had 2 back-to-back episodes. One Wednesday before Thanksgiving and one Thursday on Thanksgiving. I don't know what the year. Oh well, except for Canada. So wait. Okay. Conspiracy theory. They play all this when Canada does not have Thanksgiving, and we as Americans are distracted and letting you guys slip in. All right. It's like Pearl Harbor, but worse because it's, No, I apologize to anybody.
Pearl Harbor, but worse. I love it.
That's going to take us down off of Facebook right now.
And I do like Dave Sinclair's current comment in the chat.
We don't have to make Canada great again.
That's pretty true.
That one stings a little bit.
All right, so
I'm not saying why it stings, but it does.
All right, so let's go. Let's talk about Wednesday's show of last week. And it's hey, that's a cool spaceship.
Ooh,
that is a cool spaceship.
Is that
yours?
No, that's someone else's build that I just screen grabbed and put on my background.
All right, more conspiracy theories. You're copying. You Canadians, you just copy and. Anyway.
Sorry, isn't that what everybody does?
Yes. All right, so the Wednesday episode, which we'll get into it. Did y'all feel this kind of felt like an older style episode? Did it feel that way to y'all?
Yeah.
Like this was back to what we kind of expected, or what do you guys think?
Yes, but they added the smashing at the end, which didn't.
Well, no, that was exactly me smash. So no, that was totally season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like a couple challenges combined because I know Australia did a height challenge too. It wasn't themed, I don't think, but there was no. It felt like it's height, build a cool castle, and then the smashing felt unnecessary. I don't know if they were being judged off the smashing. That's what I'm curious to know. It felt like some of them were, but I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about I guess what we know of the brief, what they said, they wanted it tall could win or could make you immune, right? If you were the tallest.
Yeah.
And then they made a big deal about talking about how strong it was because they were going to have to move it. And then they ended up it just rolling on the carts. I thought they were going to have to pick this thing up, which is a much bigger deal, right?
That would have been better. Having to physically move it, like pick it up, would have been a better challenge.
Yeah, but I mean, even pushing it on a cart, it's going to wobble, and if it falls apart when it's wobbling, like you don't need that much movement to cause something to fall over, especially when it's that tall.
Spoiler:
right?
One of the teams said something fall off.
Yeah. Nick and Stacy had a challenge with that. Seemed like and everything. But they made a big deal, and I know the one team they wanted the wrecking ball not to crash into it. but they made a big deal. I mean, see if you guys read it this way. They made a big deal about these things needed to be strong, and then strength had nothing to do with the judging. Is that? Did y'all pick that up?
I think the only thing that was confusing about that is they were saying is that it needed to be moved, so you couldn't have it be wibbly wobbly because the table had to move. Outside of that, I don't think strength was any sort of indication whatsoever.
Well,
There you go.
I don't know. I wonder if there was something there because, like, if they could actually affect, like, I don't know if the Stevens with their big base that actually stopped the ball, slowed the wrecking ball down. I don't know if that actually helped them out. Like, maybe there was something about if you can actually affect the wrecking ball, you get some pointage in that area.
I think that was just on their own. That was just off the cuff. That wasn't part of the challenge.
Okay.
Tim D is here. All the Canadians are showing up. If Gil comes in the chat over there, I'm out. So we'll just let Jeff run the show. So, all right. But so then it seemed obvious to me that the challenge was you also have to make it look spectacular when it blows up, right? Because Nick and Stacy put in the orange stuff, the orange bricks. Everybody seemed to have filler bricks dumped in the hollow tower. So I wonder how much that played into it versus what we saw.
Yeah, they didn't talk about that too much. I almost wonder if that's just a gimme. They're like, put color inside because we want to see what happens when it explodes. I mean, that's just kind of a given. If it's going to get busted up, you got to make some color inside so it's fun, I guess.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I mean,
as you know, I am not a fan of the let's blow things up mentality.
No, I get that. By the way, Stephen, one of the Ericksons will be joining us in a bit. So we can go through this. So let's talk about the golden brick really quick. Golden brick was in play in this.
Yeah.
Greg, so they basically said you've got to use it or not use it.
That's next episode.
That's next episode.
Yeah, that's next.
That's right.
You're right. Marvel one.
Use it.
That's right. And I'm kind of ticked off about that because of the way that played out, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right. So let's go through this model here. Dave and Emily, the Forest Haven. What do you guys tell me your thoughts on this? And this was the tallest one, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because Nick and Stacy's star fell down. Now, I don't know if it was the towers were equal and that the tree at the top and the star at the top was like the deciding factor, like it was the Sandlin extender type of scenario to get that extra couple of studs on length. So I don't know, but because when Will stood up there, he had the ruler and he was showing which of the actual towers was taller, but then they didn't do anything towards the end to confirm or anything like that. As far as the story goes, was this the one where they had to have the minifigure that they built the tower along with?
Yes, that's right.
Figures, yeah.
And so this was I forget which figure this was.
The Forest Maiden.
The Forest Maiden. Yes. I would have liked to have seen more trees, but I think they did a good job. But I think for the Forest Maiden, I wanted to see more trees or more tree leaves. I
would expect it to be more of a tree, if anything, like a really tall.
Tree-esque, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear that they went straight for height, and I agree, it needs more green. But what I do have to say is out of all the building techniques I was seeing the teams put together in the room to try to get height, this was the smartest. Looking at some of Dave's internal stuff, I mean, it's basically snot and you plate the sides. That seemed like the smartest technique to get height quick. That was somewhat strong and could hold everything. So
wasn't he even using girders? Girders for height?
Girders.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to use Technic for this one.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Which was an interesting thing, but everybody has seen season 1 and knows that you can use the brackets and all that kind of stuff to make pretty significant strength with the bricks and everything.
Yeah.
So there was a moment where they said, why don't you just put the tree on top, which they did. And I think that might have won them the day there on the height, I guess.
And I'm wondering if they didn't really bother with the measuring because they knew, production wise, they knew Nick and Stacy's star would fall off. So it was obvious who won. They didn't really have to measure.
Probably.
Did you just call shenanigans?
I did. Well, no, I mean that's more just, they had all the footage. They obviously they probably filmed the measuring, but it wasn't really necessary in the long run.
Probably.
Right? Measles.
Messy.
Oh,
there he is.
It's a soccer reference, believe it or not.
There you go. And there he goes. How messy.
He must have had the measles.
What,
Yeah.
no, we added him. I thought I added. We must hit something at the same time. There he is. Hey, man.
Hey.
Greetings.
Hello.
Is that a fried egg on your hat?
The
Yes.
yolk's on him.
And this is-
Oh!
I almost logged in as local yokel, but I didn't.
Nice.
Jeff, you cannot egg on Matthew.
I'm trying to make it exciting, guys.
Guys, let's not get scrambled here. Let's not get scrambled.
I don't know what the shell is going on. So
You cracked me up.
Oh, geez.
Why don't we cross the road on this
The
joke?
Jokers.
This came from Toronto.
Oh no!
More
Of course it
Canada.
did.
More Canadian content?
Canada.
Oh yeah, it's a Canadian hat, don't you know?
Oh, jeez.
The company's called Milk Toronto, and they make boutique weird hats. And I thought it was hilarious. So just wait till you see next week's. It's even better than the egg. But you got to tune in next week to find
It's
out.
got the
Wow.
chicken. No, wait, you should order the chicken first, so it's not the chicken.
It is chicken related. That's true.
Well, which came from?
Yeah, I was gonna know exactly where you're going. Which came from?
All right. So we kind of weighed in on the first challenge, the castle challenge. Matt, what did you think of it? Hey, that's weird.
I liked it.
Good.
Thanks.
Moving on.
That in-depth commentary.
I thought it was. I thought the whole idea of like building something and then knocking it over with the ball was interesting. I'm not really sure that how you could plan for the aesthetics of that, but they've done the explosion ones in the past where you could make a choice to fill it with a certain color so it really.
Why does this feel like we had this conversation 5 minutes ago?
Okay, did
Well,
you?
yeah, I'm getting his input. It's fine.
We can move on to the next one. I don't have anything particularly brilliant about this topic, so go ahead.
Well, we were Dom will be here in just a minute. We were just wondering if that was part of the challenge that we didn't hear. Fill it with stuff so it'll blow up well. If that was going to be part of the judgment, but the strength aspect really didn't play into it. The explosion aspect, they kind of mentioned, oh look, that piece held together when it flipped off the top, but it really didn't seem to matter to me. Or to the judges.
It wasn't like the smashing was central. Like the explosion in the previous episodes, it's like the explosion should look cool. It's the central part of the challenge. The smashing was like an afterthought here.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and you know what? It almost feels like this whole challenge was a very, again, we got a little bit of this in the mini golf and somewhere along the line. Lots of we're just making it up as we go kind of feel,
Yeah. That's actually the wrecking ball thing was not in season 2, but it was for this. That's interesting. But I will say this: of they've had how many explosion things? They at least had one. These wrecks and explosions were a ton better than the first one, where they had the kind of the cheesy little sparklers and all that kind of stuff. This exploded a whole lot better. I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
All right. Final thoughts on Dave and Emily's Forest Haven mock here.
I mean, it was detailed. It had fell in with the theme with the flowers going up the side and the colors, the green and the dark tan and stuff. So I mean, I thought it was decent. They pulled it off. They did well, and I mean, they didn't have to worry about it getting, because they got the height. They didn't have to worry about being eliminated. So
Right.
Armchair nitpick. Why is there a palm tree on the top? Why isn't it like an evergreen, that you'd find in a forest? But a nitpick. So
Is it a palm
we have
tree?
palm trees only in Canada, don't you know?
it kind of looks like a palm tree to me.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
I think it's just the distance. It's not. It doesn't. It's up close. It's not a palm tree.
Okay. Never mind.
But if you think
and-
about, Lego leaf elements can often lead to that feel just in general. So yeah, I can see where you're going.
Well, now this one, I mean, we talked about that had a character. Does it lend very much, other than the tree, to the Forest Maiden very much? I mean, there's flowers, I guess, on it. So,
Well, again, they went for height. They didn't go for their
that's true.
story impact. So
It's true. It's true.
The
They
two
played the
animals.
game to get to the next game. That makes sense.
bada bing.
All right. Next, Nick and Stacy's Arctic Fortress. All right. Thoughts on this now? Of the ones that blew up, this one was really cool because it changed colors. All right. It went from this white color and blue, it became red. Okay.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I'll be honest with you. All right. What did you guys think?
Well, they lost their snowflake when they moved it, which didn't help.
Yeah.
But also the walls on this one look like they're super basic. They're just sort of plates with plates stuck on them. They're kind of.
Well, and Dave and the previous one did the same thing. It's just, I think it's just a little more obvious with the white too, right? Like,
Yeah.
It could have used windows. I think windows or something else on the exterior other than the lines. I think the lines are a fine idea. It's just like if you look at Dave and Emily's, they did like some windows that were built studs out. Yeah, you can see the little windows going up, and they had something that wrapped around the entirety of it with the flowers. This is just like if Dave and Emily's was just dark tan, that's kind of this, you know.
Yeah.
But it's tall. It almost got that height.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about the sideways building? Because I know they talked about that a little bit, how they built, entirely with studs facing one direction for this.
Which was cool, but then they got dinged for the backside.
Yeah.
And then they also got dinged for, and they warned them. And this is always one of those. Now, granted, I don't know if it's an editing thing, but it always kills me when the judges warn them about something, and then the team explicitly doesn't follow their direction.
Hey, we have a Castle Bro here.
Hey, Castle Bro.
Former
Previous
Castle Bro.
previously
Former.
known.
Formerly known
AKA of Castle Bro. Sorry I'm late, guys.
No worries.
Good.
All good.
A lot to cover tonight.
Yeah, we do. So we've already we just covered one of the castles and everything. Stephen, you can probably give us some perspective and insight. What do you think? Because we're debating on what they actually judged on. There was story, there was strength they talked about, then they were supposed to explode, which seems to go against strength, and all this kind of stuff in the character. It seems like the things they talked about was important, was not what they judged them on, or at least that's what I felt. I don't know about you.
That's a good question. It was a little confusing. It's obvious, if you get to so high, it's going to be immunity. But yeah, I think they wanted story, and they wanted like personality in the build as well. As far as the strength thing, I think that was sort of added a little bit, and there was also how the explosion looked as well. I think those were bonus points essentially for the builders. Just that's just what I'm guessing. I think it had more to do with strength and height and story. That seemed to be the deciding factor for a lot of this one. I have to say though, we did something similar with our 8-hour challenge building towers. They only gave them 1 more hour. I'm just like, what? That's suicide. It was already by far the hardest challenge, and I don't know. They should have given them at least 2 more hours, in my opinion.
Oh wow. Well, hey, by the way, we were talking about strength, and it seemed like they were talking about it had to move, and that they rolled it to for demonstration and everything. But right here, we see them. I don't know if it's just the platform that they hit with the wrecking ball or whatever. There had to be a moment where they did pick it up and move it to these platforms that we see the shots on. Do you think that was part of the challenge?
That's not as hard as it sounds. Yes, they would have had to move them. But hey, Don,
hello. I'm so sorry I'm late.
You're good, bud.
You're not alone, man. You're not alone. Yeah, but I'll tell you this. If those are the same tables that we had, there was a knob. You could spin it up and down very easily. And you could level it just right with whatever surface, and you could just slide it onto the next one. So it's actually a lot easier than it sounded. Is that right, Dom? You guys had to do that occasionally?
Occasionally, we could twist the knob, raise them up and down. They were nice tables. Good quality
Until you got the
tables.
one with the bad wheels, then your model would be bumping up and down.
Fortunately, we did not run into that issue, and thanks to previous contestants on other seasons, we knew very quickly. Make sure there's no bricks in the way,
Oh, yeah.
because bricks on the ground are
Yes.
bad.
Oh, I like
All right.
this one.
Moving on, Emily and Liam's Cursed Keep.
This is cool.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I had to agree with the judges. The top last tower looks a little bit unfinished, but I love the color scheme. It's a really
Mhm.
fun story.
Yep.
Yeah, the brick swirls look really cool.
Mm.
Yeah, they do.
And for some reason, like the colors here, like it's a similar concept that the doctors kind of tried with
Yeah.
the contrasting colors. And this just works so much better. The transition and the swirling, like the differences. I think it works better than the red and the blue. I mean, just directly compare that with the other two bicolored castle, you know? But yeah, it's super cool.
Well, and just the way the green wraps around the castle, it just gives it that kind of emotion that you didn't get
It's
in the other one
magical.
necessarily. Yeah.
I think if they had had a little more time to make the tower top look a little better, and they probably would have had a little time to make the pink tower maybe a little bigger and taller, it would have been even more impressive to see the bigger contrast, because it almost seems like the green and the black is almost overpowering the pink, where we would want to see just a little more pink.
Yeah, I think the plan was more pink.
Yeah, and I think that again, if they'd had more time, and they were notorious, unfortunately, for having time be their enemy. So
Let's get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
I know one thing though. Julian would absolutely he would not approve of this build whatsoever. With the pink castle.
So true.
Oh no, he'd be like, "No, leave it pink."
And I will say that black and green was very Disney-esque, like from the.
It felt
very
Maleficent.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
It looks
I
just
liked
like
it.
it. Yeah,
Great.
all around very good build.
All right, the Wizards Duel.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they put the wizard's hat on top. That was pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's
a good way
clever.
to top it off.
It's not a bad looking hat either. It was a cool,
The hat was
vertical.
probably the best part of the build.
Unquestionably, yeah.
Yeah.
This one went home, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Too bad. I think I have to agree with the judges. The laser effects, if you look here, we've got panels, we've got dishes. Yeah, this was last minute, you can tell. And it's sort of the action of it. The red and blue is interesting, but those are also complementary colors. Red and blue can kind of go together in a number of ways. I think they contrast. I'm not even 100% sure, but they're not sharp enough of a difference as lime and black and pink and purple. You know, it's yeah.
And for them, they had to pivot because they originally started the red castle because that was the blue wizard was attacking the red castle or whatever the story was. And Amy and Jamie came by and said, no, you were supposed to focus. It's supposed to be a castle for your character. So they did have to pivot. I think their pivot was a great idea, similar to the castles being taken over by, although that was obviously another solution for someone up for the other teams, for Emily's and Liam's castle. But I mean, like, they worked around the problem as opposed to having to take the whole thing apart. So I thought that was good on them.
It's clever enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and talking about order of building, they made it look like they threw that hat in at last minute. There's no way they built that hat in the last couple hours. That I think that had to be something they were planning on to start with.
I mean, granted, I'm going off of what they said, and it could be editing, but it sounded like they were like, "Oh, they need something," and they did throw that on at the end. He even said that he threw that hat together like in an hour or less. I mean, it was like bam. So,
and what was the thing at the beginning? I mean, they talked about it a little bit, how what the judges said about it needs to belong to the character, and they were adding another character. Like, it felt like I didn't know if, to me, the instructions seemed pretty clear. So it was like hard to me to imagine, like, oh, they're gonna try to make this go in this different direction. Of course, the judges are going to say something about that. I don't know. It was confusing to me where the confusion for them came from.
Yeah, that is funny.
I don't know.
Well, I will say this though: if that's a Magisto from classic Castle days, and if you look at any Magisto set, like Magisto's Tower and Magisto's whatever,
He's kind of a villain.
Do you know what color those sets are?
Black, red, and gray.
They're black and red. So if these guys knew this character and were building for this character, they're thinking classic Space Days. And guess what they built? They built red and black. I wonder if that was a factor. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It's very possible.
What about their intentional strategy not to bother going for height? And I mean, they kind of zigged when everybody else was zagging. You know, obviously, I think if you're going to go that route, you need to make what you're building look really great. And I don't think they did that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there was a height requirement, and that's maybe why the hat came about too, because maybe they needed to build something to give them that extra little bit of height. Because Amy and Jamie did call them out on that too, right? That it wasn't tall enough.
I'm really curious about that because here's with our bridge challenge. Our cliff challenge. We were not given a minimum length whatsoever, but they said that whoever goes the furthest gets the immunity. And we decided, forget it. We're not even going to worry about the length because then we're just being an arms race, which is exactly what it played out. And we decided, well, let's just go with the fun story and detail. So there's pros and cons to it, but we didn't get a minimum size. Which surprised me. So I'm the same. I'm curious if they had a height requirement.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment, and I'm sharing my screen if you want to see this. And obviously, this is a different context, but I wanted to criticize. I think the thing that, like, I was a little bit disappointed with this build was the energy effects. And Australia did their own castle challenge, and Owen and Scott did an awesome build for a Wizard's Castle using the same minifigure.
Yeah, I've seen
this.
That one.
I was thinking about this one while we were
It's
watching.
on my screen if you want to share it, but they did an amazing energy effect for this Wizard Blast. Yeah. And it's like a little bit confusing looking at the doctors and seeing all the crazy stuff and how clear the magic is represented in the Australians build, you know. I think that
Amy and Jamie did ding them on that it was too busy, too uncohesive to know exactly what was going on without being explained. And even though we're not seeing it all in the shot, it was very busy inside the castle walls.
It was, you know, and talking about the way, I was looking because I've seen in some challenges where they have a height ruler, like a stack of bricks. You know, is that correct?
Yeah, and sometimes they do.
If I remember correctly, it looked like on one of the builds, I remember seeing a stack of bricks with a height meter.
That could be.
And they, you know what, they might have even missed it, and they just didn't play that up.
I'm also wondering, and I know I think Ethan mentioned this, that the doctors were getting a little homesick and were having, you know, they were kind of getting exhausted at this point in time.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that factor some of it as well. So
I don't know if I could.
They were home time. They just wanted to go home.
Yeah, they just wanted to go home at this point. They wanted to go home like 2-3 challenges before this one. But they kept building, and
fatigue is another thing too.
Yeah,
just raw fatigue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hitting Nick and Stacy too. It feels like it for everyone. I mean, Emily and Liam are in the next episode look definitely fatigued. So this is at this point you've been on the show for a long time. I imagine it gets
weeks
exhausting.
Yeah.
This on the other hand,
I mean, I know we've talked about this both season 1 and season 2, only because we've gotten to talk to cast members that have made it further on, that it gets exhausting at the end, and that's a factor that they don't really tell you about in the show. But that's definitely a factor here. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Brandon and Greg. Jolly old jesters.
So this is interesting. We have another red and blue castle, don't we? Right.
But that matches the figure though too. So.
But it matches the figure, and we've got white balancing out everything with the black and white, giving a nice placement of everything. I think this is a really good one, honestly.
And it's a solid-looking castle too. Well, you know, giving us different heights for the parapets. Giving a good classic feel to it. The color scheme was great. The fun with it. But yeah, they chose to story over height, so that's cool.
I like the fact that they looked at Jeff Van Winden's castle, and all the towers are different heights, and they borrowed that from Jeff Van Winden.
Yeah.
So they pulled some Canadian know-how in to win this thing.
I honestly don't think they've ever seen my castle, honestly, but okay.
But it's brilliant. You have this almost corkscrew thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And-
The smiley face door, which was really, really hilarious.
That
and
was clever.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got smiley faces everywhere. So everywhere you look, there's a little piece of emotion looking back at you.
Yeah.
So it really makes you want to explore the build.
This build out of all of them, I think, really embraced the minifigure aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like David Emily's was awesome, the Forest Maiden, but it, we already said like it didn't have a lot of trees. This one I feel like really leaned into the aspects of the figure, with the face, the gesture, the whole element, so.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that won that week.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think this may have been where we've flipped, where Amy and Jamie are now more concerned about the story and the figure. So that's probably what won it for him.
And we have to mention Greg's elaborate performance.
The Greatest Showman. We gotta get a recording of that and put it on the audio.
He threw it all on the floor. He was all out, and everybody was having a good time. So I don't know how many takes he did that, but whatever, it was having a good time. I could tell. So
Dom, you were with them for a little bit. How out of character or in character was that spiel that he did for the castle?
So I didn't watch this episode yet.
Oh shoot! It's your show, Dom.
He gets eliminated from the show and he doesn't watch it anymore.
I mean, yeah, like what's the point? I mean, I'm not. Exactly.
All I can say is TikToker.
No, I was busy, but I watched the next one. I watched the Avengers one.
Well, too long, didn't watch it.
Listen, I'm sorry. So I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds like Greg must have put on some sort of performance.
As if he was like the ringmaster of a circus. He put on this really elaborate speech about what it was like to visit this castle. He basically gave it the sales pitch of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite entertaining to watch.
That's character for Greg.
There you go.
He, I think he did theater in high school. So
probably.
Was that? You didn't watch it? No, yeah, I didn't watch it because I'm not in it. What's the point?
Oh my word! What's up, Moto?
Wasn't there like a holiday or something? I don't know.
Not for the Canadians who have taken the lead, but anyway, all right.
Yeah, interesting.
Love.
Oh, speaking of Canadians,
Steven and Steven's Troy's Troll Bridge. They got the big troll, which he's a big character, and you can actually see from here, which is interesting. Your thoughts?
I have to say, before someone else says it, because I think it might come up, there's a certain other team from season 2 who made a very similar prediction about their tower, about how the test would go down, that we would break the machine, and it did not go well for that team on a certain other season, meaning us. We said we would break the machine, or that was mostly Mark, but I was on board. Let's do it. Let's break the machine. So when they said that, I'm like, it's over. They're going home. Like, that was my instant reaction. Like, they're dead meat. But honestly, they made good on that promise. That boulder did ricochet off of this mountain, this turtle shell looking thing down here.
Yeah.
Frankly, kudos to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was curious because, I mean, it was a bold claim, and obviously the show is like, oh, will it happen? And I think I was wondering, you made a bold claim about doing something that the challenge didn't ask you to do, and you tried so hard to do that. I wonder if that got them extra points from the judges to be like, all right, that's funny. You said you tried to do something that we didn't really try to get you to do, but you tried really hard, and the build looks great. I mean, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it really does.
And I think their troll almost completely stayed on the base too. It was still, I think it just kind of fell over versus fell off. So I thought that was kind of fun. If I recall correctly, I remember seeing the troll still within vicinity of where he was standing. The bridge aspect of it, I was like, okay, it does look a little bit like a bridge. It's been torn apart a bit. But I mean, what's the bridge over? A chasm, I guess? Like, there's no water around it either. So I was kind of...
I think the story was the troll built the castle through the bridge.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah. It's the story's not the strongest on this one, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I have to say I like the dangly bits coming off the bridge.
Yeah.
Like, it reads decrepit, falling down to me.
I guess from this angle, it just looks like a platform. It doesn't really look like a bridge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it kind of
harsh.
looks like moss coming off of it or something, some sort of red flowers.
I mean, I like the look of it. It's gray. It's the only gray castle that came out. So
Yeah,
true.
that was
This is the most this is the most castle-y castle out of the bunch.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
I wonder if they got dinged for a gray and brown castle from
I
Amy
wonder.
and put that on there.
No, wait a minute. Slow down. We got flowers here. Although she probably
they're colored.
freaked out with that tan base, though. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Amy's awesome, but she doesn't like her tan.
Yeah,
Just gonna say
this
that.
whole color scheme would probably make Amy's skin crawl. So yeah,
Probably.
All right.
Yeah.
So is that the end of the castles for this episode?
That is the end of the castles.
I have
All
to
right.
say though, perfect minifig for that team. Perfect minifig
Oh,
for that
yeah.
team.
I love that they
Patrol,
brought it back. I was surprised they even we're talking about the fantasy era stuff now. Like, cool.
that was so refreshing.
Yeah.
I loved this episode. The castle theme of it feels good.
So
2 in a row.
Before we move on to the next episode, so we want to talk about: do we agree with who came out on top, which was
No.
Brendan and Greg?
No.
Matthew.
Because Dave and Emily were the second in the top, so you would have gone with Dave and Emily, or would you have picked somebody else?
Second place should have won.
So you think Dave and Emily?
Really?
Do you think David and Emily should have won?
Interesting.
Okay.
Elaborate. What
why?
would put him over the top for you?
Can we put them back up side by side?
I don't know if we can do side by side, but
No, StreamYard will not let me do side by sides. It's only one at a time.
Well, yeah.
So it was
Put
the
up the-
Jester Castle and the Forest Maiden.
Put up the second place then, if you would.
What was it again? Was
The
it
very first one.
Dave and Emily.
The dark tan one. The
Yeah,
dark
the
tan.
very first
Look
one.
at Moto's comment.
I can't say
Yeah.
it.
Well,
I
no,
know.
the first challenge was space stations.
It
That's
was
true.
It was.
Yeah.
We did get Space
Yeah,
and
it was quasi space.
Well, yeah, because the Wayne Space Station was a firefighter logo.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, not that I'm knocking
But
it.
it wasn't
It's just
space.
wasn't really. Yeah,
They'll be
It's
chewing
his
on your
personality.
face.
It was a personality build.
yeah, there it is.
I mean the wraparound, the color, it just looks much more complete. It's a little bit squarish, but I mean visually it's just much more attractive in my opinion.
I will say that up close, this one looked more impressive than it does from afar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where Brendan and Greg's looks impressive from afar, even though it's a lot of just blue and red. So I think this one would have came down to being nitpicky, and I think because they were already safe from elimination, I think that it may have favored them to Brendan and Greg. I don't know.
Right. The reason I
feels
like
close.
Brendan and Greg's is the structural variety in the different levels, and you had these kind of external, like each side kind of had their own little personality with the masks. I feel like the side probably looks the same as the front here,
Yeah.
So
No, actually, no.
No, we threw Tennessee and the interstates of Illinois at him, and that's what happened. So,
I mean, I think if I were walking around at a Lego convention, that I would find that one much more.
But again, remember,
Yeah.
the challenges have nothing to
Dana's
do
learning.
with mock building skills. Mock building
Dana's
challenges.
learning.
I know, but you're asking who I think should have won, and I think they should have won.
All right. Well, there we go. All right. So we know that the bottom two were
you can Stacy.
Nick and Stacy and the doctors.
Yeah.
And
Clearly, to me, the doctors needed to go. I mean, that
Yeah,
was-
there's no getting around that.
Yeah.
they were hanging
was
on
time.
by the skin of their
was
teeth.
time.
Even though they won the mini golf challenge, I really wanted to say putt putt, but even though they won the mini golf challenge, they were skinning by the skin of their teeth for a couple episodes. So
Hi, Ethan.
Ethan.
Nice of you to finally join us. Shenanigans.
shenanigans. So, all right. Well, now that Ethan's here, let's just go ahead and let's
Bye, Ethan.
One more. Somebody duct tape Ethan. One of the things I know, Nick made a post about, his castle. He and Nick and Stacy's castle, and he talked about it. He said they didn't show any details of their castle because he had brick built polar bears, and he admitted the lava monster was crap. I mean, he just had to throw that together. They've had time issues on large builds, big time, and I think that's hurt them. But they had a lot of details that they didn't show. But when you build something that's 8 feet tall,
You lose the
you're
detail.
going to have to
Lose the
make the
details.
details bigger to show up, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't think they balanced that very well.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, let's go on. Canadian.
that's a burn.
That's a burn.
Oh,
Ooh.
Guardians.
this is
of
going to
the
be
Galaxy.
interesting. This is going to be interesting for everybody. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
In
So
this
they showed
week's
him-
Let's Replicate Things.
Woo! Yeah.
No.
This was hardwired into. Okay, here's a picture. Copy it. Which I mean, those who've been on the show, is that more daunting of a task or is that easier of a task?
I never had this sort of challenge. We missed out. This is where I feel very envious of you guys down there, Dom of season 3. I wanted a Marvel episode badly on our.
How do you feel that? How do you think we feel that we missed out on a freaking Marvel episode?
I know.
Another point. I forgot.
We were we missed out.
I'm
These
sorry.
two challenges we missed out on. Really, was quite
I'm
disappointing.
sorry.
In smaller words, but I would say replication challenges are harder because you have to replicate it down to the detail. Like the dog challenge, that was tough. I think we did pretty good, except for the part where our dog, kablooied. But when you have something that you're supposed to replicate and you have to build it out of Lego, there's not a lot of creative liberties. You just gotta do the best you can and hope the judges think it looks like the thing that you're trying to build.
Yeah.
With the Marvel challenge, this is what like replication is what I do like with Star Wars. I mean, that's what I did for a long time. So
You're primed and ready, Ethan.
This
We were
would have been
so
our
ready.
wheelhouse. Like Marvel.
Oh well.
I mean, let's talk about the replication thing a little bit here, though, because this was something that I was interested in because the pictures they were given or that they showed, there's some creative liberty taken on what's outside of the frame, what they added. I mean, these rings, that's not in the picture that they showed. And like the Stevens did a whole city scene. So like they never clarified, oh, hey, it's cool if you adapt and go beyond.
Well, I think they wound up even giving them points for that.
Yeah.
Because they knew the source material and they elaborated on it. Now granted, I don't, I almost kind of feel like we should have, and this is no ding on Mark. It'd be great if we had actually all of these up at once because then it would be easier to critique them back and forth and this and that. But I'm not going to, because while this one to me, I think they did a great job on recreating the scene itself, and they had some great NPU in here and did a really great job in the Force perspective. I thought it was fantastic. Where Steven and Steven, they elaborated on the whole city and did that whole thing. Where I actually think this one was the better build over the Stevens. But again, it's all kind of comes down to what aspect Amy and Jimmy were looking for that they keyed in on. So
wait a minute. Steven and Steven won the challenge, correct?
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
And I didn't think they should have. I didn't think they should have. I thought this one should have.
Can I ask you guys a question about this? Because I was very curious, and obviously it was never said. I know the minifigures are key here, and they gave everyone the minifigures. This is one scene, considering at least the framing that they were trying to replicate, where I was like, hey, a brick-built Drax that's a little bit larger might actually be more accurate in scaling to the scene with how small Drax is in the shot here, and how far away he feels from the monster. But they never said, none of the teams tried that. So I was interested.
I believe this was a minifigure. You had to use the minifigure. You have to use
it. Okay, thank you.
And I wasn't sure if I'm wondering if there was a size or a size requirement that it needed to be a certain size, because all of these are almost similar in size.
Yeah,
they had a huge size, and I think that could be why the Stevens ended up having to go bigger, because their scene was a very close-up shot of Doctor Strange doing his thing.
Right.
And if they had done that with Doctor Strange being the minifig in that scale, they couldn't fill that area of space.
Yeah.
So they had to go bigger just in order to fill up the area.
I almost wonder if because they all had the same base plate size, that was their requirement.
I know something I'm noticing about this. If you look at the backdrop, it's very, very black for 3/4 of it, and then there's some detail in that top quarter. Do you think, and we don't know this from the show, that they started that backdrop, ran out of time, and just had to fill it in with black?
Well, it would have been a reverse. You would think because the black was first, maybe they came back and said it's too black.
Yeah,
I remember seeing her, Emily, building that wall, but I don't remember if it was over top of the black or if the black was being over top of that. I think it was showed up 1 or 2 times for just a second.
Yeah,
but I'm
because
not
originally
sure
they
which-
weren't
which.
originally they weren't building a wall. They were going to leave it back open, and that's when Amy and Jimmy said,
Yeah.
"You got to have a background."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the picture was really just from Drax up as well. So it could be that for their forced perspective,
Yeah.
they only had that in the image.
Oh, maybe so.
I'm wondering.
Yeah,
too.
and
I
their
will
thought
say-
may have been, yeah, just that the monster is the background.
Yeah.
But no, they needed that. They needed a backdrop.
The
But I will
monster
say-
itself is great, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah, the teeth,
Yeah.
everything, the arm, yeah.
everything there is really good.
Yeah,
in my
and I
opinion, I
wonder
think they
if
were-
there
sorry.
was, all of a sudden they're telling all of them they got to build a backdrop. Do you think that was kind of dropped on them at the end, or
And
I'm almost wondering if it was something that they just assumed that they needed to do, and then they wound up having to say, "Oh, did we not mention that you need to do this? We thought that it was implied." I bet you it was one of those things.
that's the kind of thing where like the brickmasters and the rule people can be very vague sometimes, a little too vague, which is really annoying because like it's unfair because there's a lot of times there's a few occasions where one side would get told one thing and then we'd get told like an hour later.
Interesting.
So like they had like an hour of this information, but they're focusing on their build, completely understandable. So we don't get told about it.
He's being
I
sarcastic.
feel like I can talk about this.
Maybe, probably.
Basically, there's a lot of miscommunication with ruling
It
a lot of
gets
times.
a little clumsy sometimes.
It's
out
very
there.
clumsy.
It's a little
and-
clumsy sometimes, and it's
my
kind of a
opinion,
shame. But it
from
does.
what
So you're saying like
professional
Nick and Stacy, sorry, Amy and Jamie would go over to a table on the other side and tell them this, and they wouldn't get to you for the hour because they're doing the filming of all the tables. Is that what you mean?
Not
and-
really. Well, go ahead.
That and some of the challenge department people.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just say it could get a little confusing out there sometimes. It was just a little fly by the seat of the pants sometimes.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
That seems to be a reoccurring theme, Stephen.
There was a big discussion between the other contestants of like how nice it would be if they just gave us like a note, like a list of notes that we just had on our tables of bullet points just to remind ourselves like build this, build that. Like these are the requirements.
Give
for
us
the
that,
challenges.
did they?
They didn't, which
Yeah, I forgot
they
about
really
that.
should have.
I mean, at any point we could call over the rules guy, but that would take sometimes 15 minutes or whatever, and then they go.
Sometimes they would never come.
Rules,
So wait a minute.
Sometimes you'd ask for them
This
multiple
is
times,
an
they just
insight
never show
that
up.
we haven't heard before, Stephen. There's a rules guy.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
an
there's
entire
rules
team.
people.
I thought I mentioned it at one point.
No.
Every now and then, like if something needed to for example, in our fans challenge, most people forget that episode, but the fans challenge, they said we couldn't have the fan blades hooked up to a mechanized system.
Okay.
And like, don't do that. And Zach and I are like, we didn't get the memo. This is what we're doing. And then like, well, can you change it? They're like, please, can we just keep it? Why can't we? What's the problem? They actually gave them some healthy pushback and said, hey, we want to do this. This is going to be awesome. Let us do this, please. And they're like, okay, fine. After they came back from the rules people, they're fine. If you want to, go ahead. They're the only team doing it. Can't hurt anything. Knock yourself out. So that's basically what they did. Occasionally that would go down sometimes, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, just based on the episode, really.
So was there like a rule moderator team like per table?
I believe it was one guy and then a few other people.
Okay.
I didn't get actual numbers, but yeah.
So the rule tribunal maybe?
I don't know.
Summon the
Can we talk
council.
about the build? Can we talk
A
about the
ruling
build?
party.
Talk about the build. Come on.
Let's talk
All right,
about
moving
Doctor
on,
Strange.
moving
It's kind of dicey. Let's talk about the.
Yeah,
should this
moving
have
on,
won,
moving on.
guys? Should this
I'll
have
grill
won?
you
That's the
about
real
that at
question.
another time.
Okay, fair enough.
I
But
love
should
the
this have actually
the
won?
Disney Hollywood Studios backdrop that they did
Yes,
here.
I was just about to mention that. I
matte
love the
painting?
backdrop with this.
The
With
matte
the
painting?
oh my god, it's
Yeah.
great.
That's clever.
One thing that's
I-
funny about this build is they built this before the movie came out. Which is
Oh,
so fun.
did they?
Oh wow, I didn't think
So
about
they-
that.
Talk about spoilers.
They just had this one scene to go off of. That was it.
I was gonna ask because so obviously something that sticks out to me is Gargantos, the monster in the set and the movie, is green. And so
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was something they didn't know or if the movie's not out yet, maybe he's not been
Question.
seen.
But
Or
I'm
is there
pretty
just
sure-
a lack of sand green parts on the wall, you know? So
there was a lack of sand green parts and olive green parts. They weren't very much of those. But I was gonna
Gotcha.
because like Those minifigures, I'm pretty sure, are from the Gargantos set. So they had the set. I just don't think they.
Yeah, because that's the
used
cape,
it.
right?
Yeah, that's the cape.
That's the
That
cape.
was-
That's American
Cape of that
Chavez.
set, I think so.
Yeah, it's a custom piece.
But yeah, there was not a lot of olive green. There was not a lot of sand green.
I'm sorry, my mistake. It's not a custom piece. I was just saying it's a unique piece. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, unique piece of it. I think my only criticism of this is I kind of wish like the bus was not just flat and horizontal to the thing. There could be some more dynamic of motion if you
I also thought about that as well.
tilted that a little bit. I think that
A
to
slight
me that
offset.
made it a little boring. And maybe the saw blade should have been like more bigger, I guess. But if they'd never seen that before, it makes more sense if they hadn't seen that in the movie like we have.
Yeah.
To see how dynamic that thing is ripping apart and all that kind of stuff.
Because my other thought would have been that, and I don't know if in their picture you could see the monster, but I would have thought that the monster would have played a more integral part in this scene. But I guess from their picture, it was the bus being split in half was the real focal point. So,
Yeah. For me, it's down to the action. Like, it looks good, mostly. I just would have liked if they had one of those red light bricks. I know they had them on set, and if you had a spot where you could just switch one of those on.
I
and
feel
on
like
that
they
blade,
mentioned in the episode they were going to put a light brick in there,
and you don't see it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just editing. Like the camera crew forgot to actually turn the light brick on, but I don't know.
That
I would
happens.
like to see it. It does happen sometimes, but I would have liked to seen it though. It's just. There's another one coming up that I think should have won, and it's not this one.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
what were you going to say? What were you gonna say something?
There's
gonna-
this is
A couple of scenes where you could see it lit up, but it wasn't in every shot.
Oh, okay. Well, that's on the studio then.
All right,
Hey, wait a
Ethan,
minute.
what were you going to say, Ethan?
this is just a theory. Like, this is just my thoughts. You know, I'm not in this episode, so I feel like I can say it. But the show was supposed to be in the summer, so the movie would have just been released when this episode came out. So this is a theory why they wanted this one to place on top, because of that hype of the movie was just.
Maybe.
Oh, that's
Here we
sneaky.
go.
I mean,
The Marvel team
I
in the
believe
corner is like, you guys really should pick this one.
I mean, think about it. It was all the movies were kind of like who cares about Captain Marvel? No offense if you like Captain Marvel, but that
I agree.
out of
Thor
all the
Ragnarok,
Marvel
I like
movies
that
you could have
one.
picked,
or all the scenes in that movie to have picked.
that too.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
for the record, this set for this with the Gargantian character did come out in the January release, because I remember picking it up when I went to Brick Fair, Alabama.
That's true. The
So,
set had been out for a long
The
time.
set was out, so they would have had a reference of it at least.
Yeah, but
If
they
I'm
didn't know
wrong.
about the thing splitting a bus in half. So
No, granted, but
Yeah.
the picture did show the back end of the bus though, so you could.
Here we go.
This
Here we
one's
go.
beautiful.
This is
I love this one. Oh,
Chef's
let's
kiss.
just- I'm just going
Chef's
to go ahead
kiss.
and throw something down. I'm going to throw something down. These guys built a freaking mosaic, and they got and Amy criticized the.
Yeah.
I'm about to say
I was
she criticized the backdrop, and okay, I'm done.
I was so flabbergasted. Like, what are you talking? I love Amy. What are you on about? What do you mean? It needs more
What was her
tiles?
comment that
It's
she
perfect.
wished that they had used some tiles instead of just
Because
studs?
it's too distracting while there's a Greek, a mythology god coming down with lightning against zombies, and you're gonna talk shit about the background?
Hey, easy there, boy. easy.
All right, here we go.
I'm sorry, I get
There you
repeat sometimes. I apologize, but I feel like that's just she needed something to nitpick about, and that's exactly what that was.
Well,
This
I
is
mean,
a work of art, undeniably. It is.
Now, to be honest, guys, the studs are distracting.
But so is the water studs.
I feel like it gives it like a comic book feel though. It looks like it's a page.
If that was the case, it would be a little more smooth and more fleshed out, not so landscaping feeling to the texture. Her nitpick is a nitpick because again, they've got to come up with constructive criticism. It's a nitpick. This is the one that should have been up in the top two.
Absolutely.
But again, I have to agree with her that the studs, if they had gone, smooth side or something, because it is a little distracting.
Okay, Dom and Ethan, were there enough tiles to do this in the back?
There were a lot of dots. Good
There
thing
were-
they had the golden brick and they had to play it because they forgot the tiles. They would have been in the bottom too.
Oh yeah. Thank
I just want to say you're welcome for.
You're welcome,
the
Brandon
golden
Greg.
brick.
Listen, wasn't for that golden brick. Because of you, because of the lack of tiles.
Okay.
Totally got sent home.
That's a good
But
point
this
though,
is-
because I am curious, and I wish Greg was here to share some details about this. But like,
I'm sure he would have some serious details.
the question
Oh,
is,
yeah.
from a strategy point of view. I mean, it is a game. Like they have the golden brick. This is clearly one of the best builds in the room.
Oh,
Are the
yeah.
judges just not going to put this in the top 2 because they want to highlight another team because they know they're going through? You
It's
know,
all editing. It's all editing.
Yeah, I think by giving it the golden brick, they basically it's like in the older seasons, if you had the golden brick, you didn't even participate, right? So in this case, it's like you're allowed to build, but we're not going to give you top or bottom marks.
Steven is just clinching because I know some stories that Steven has told me.
May I please speak
And I'm not
up?
going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. But the golden brick, I call shenanigans on the golden brick.
No, it was explained. There are no shenanigans. It's the
No, I
editing.
know it. No, but here's the thing. I'm not saying it's shenanigans. Or shenanigans is the wrong word. The golden brick is a MacGuffin.
Yes, look. They said it in this episode. If memory serves, this is the episode. They turn in the golden brick, correct?
Yeah, they had to, but per the rules of the golden brick, this is the last opportunity you have to play it, so you must play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they made them play it, not give it back. They said,
Correct.
they said, are you going to use it? And they gave it back, and then they considered it played and everything. So that put them mid packs that they had to talk to them.
Yeah.
That makes me mad.
Look. Okay. I don't know about you guys down there, but on season 2, they told us by episode 10, the golden brick must be played regardless of who has it. That's the rule.
Yep.
So on episode 10, you play the golden brick. On my season, they didn't say that. They didn't tell a single squat person. All they did was just let me be all cocky, like, hey, let's just put it in. I look like a complete idiot playing the golden brick with a nice build. And thankfully, they explained now's the time to turn it in because I knew from way back that this is the episode you turn it in.
Yeah.
There is no golden brick on episode 11, not for season 1, not for season 2 or 3. That's how it works. And for my season, they didn't tell anybody. That's the most annoying thing that ever happened on season 2. Out of all the annoyances, that was the worst.
wow.
Guys, did they
One
explain
thing-
that for you? Did they explain that for you? Episode 10?
I know we talked about. I don't know if they said it,
It was
but
in the
I believe
orientation.
Bennett and Greg. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. It was. Yes, I'm pretty sure we knew.
Okay, good.
One thing that is interesting, going back to the Thor Ragnarok, with editing, you could easily degrade the clarity, and it makes all those studs. I'm curious, how was it in person, the Thor Ragnarok? Because it probably was one of those models that looked better in person too. Because you can easily increase the, or I guess degrade the clarity or increase the clarity, and it makes all those studs super easy to see.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Nick and Stacy's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I love this one.
I think they bagged on this way too hard.
Yeah.
I think it's all right.
Yeah, that was sort of weird. They bagged on it for not having a backdrop, and it's like, well, other than a little gap beneath the wave, it pretty much the wave is the
Has a
backdrop.
backdrop. Yeah.
It looks
And-
really good. So it's like, what are you even complaining about?
The sad thing is if they had thrown in if they had brick built even just it being all black, just an all black wall to fill in that space, that would have been it. That would have done it for them, and they would have been fine and clear. And then
What do you
instead of
guys
nitpicked?
What do you guys think about the way the minifigure is suspended?
I think it's perfectly fine.
I think it's
Well,
playing the game.
they could have had a clear rod from that white wave from this perspective.
That's what I thought they were going to
It'll
do.
come out from the wave. Yeah.
Although props for creativity, like this is actually this works, and you don't have to worry. It's hanging on his back, so you don't have to worry about him holding on to something or whatever. This is clever. It's out of the box, that's for sure.
One thing I will say,
It's
this looks
unique.
like a mock. This is probably the mock that looks like it would be at a convention, like
Yeah.
kind of the style.
Mm-hmm. It would do well at a convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
Oh, this is definitely a step up from last episode. Like the other one, it looked good, but it had some rough spots. This one doesn't have much for rough spots. Like everything works. The sculpting is really nice.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to see all that much dark blue in one sitting too.
Yeah.
And to Stacy, Stacy was the one who said, we need to add these trans blue pieces in here to give it that little extra pop, and it did.
Yeah. I wonder how much
it breaks it up. It's good.
I wonder how much they played that up because they were really struggling to figure out how to make the waves look nicer. And like, all you gotta do is throw some trans blue on there.
And it's funny because, and I'd love to hear Nick's comment on that, because he was the one from the beginning who kept saying, no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you do that? So
this was the first time that team felt a little bit at odds with each other, or that they showed on camera. Like I was surprised that they played that.
I think they've been at odds a couple times. They just haven't shown us as much.
This is the most predominant for sure.
Yeah, but you've seen little tidbits here and there. But yeah,
it's a strong build. I mean, the waves, it's a lot of brick. I can imagine that would be time consuming to shape.
Yeah, because there's no big ugly rock pieces in dark blue.
Not in the brick bit.
Yeah.
Here we go. Everybody, let's hear it.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah.
They got stuck with in my opinion, they got stuck with a really bad scene.
That alone was the worst part. Is that this? I mean, there are like at least 10 other scenes that are even better than this that are still crappy in that movie.
10 other movies, yeah.
Like it's still a good build, but compared to the other 4 scenes, it's hard to hold a torch.
Yeah.
Or a missile.
Because this is just Captain Marvel pushing a missile.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
It's
when you have
a crappy scene.
On the one side, there's a giant pink monster. There's a monster in the water.
You have Thor over there.
Thor. There's a
Doctor
Strange. It's a shame.
I
think they got stuck with a bad one.
Yeah. So were you not able to pick? Were they all these scenes assigned to people, or did they get to pick?
No, it was.
I think it was a random draw.
Grab your figure
It was a
thing
random draw.
again.
I think it was a random draw.
Yeah, I bet they drew him out of a hat, and then they filmed them running to get it.
That's probably what happened.
Well, after crashed into the table.
Yeah, probably. Could I say, this was not only incredibly excruciating to watch. I wouldn't want to criticize it without giving solution for this model particularly, because just of how hard they tried to make it work, which was literally heart melting. Like literally I felt like I was having PTSD at that moment. It was so hard to watch that. I would have made a half pipe sort of thing. I would have had it slope upward. You could just fill it with black, and then you kind of add blue on top of that. And once you got to the wall, you do a flat mosaic built with plates and stuff. Just a nice transition from maybe blue to a slightly lighter blue to more of a different color. And then you have everything sitting on that wall 3D, just hanging. So you wouldn't have to do the sharp, like you can see reflections that don't look right. The top is too weak. I would have started that from the very beginning, started this big wall. I mean, if Stacy and Nick can make a big ocean wall, then yeah, I mean, so, and then maybe pare down the missile just a little bit and then center it. And that would have probably, I think, done the trick.
Yeah, I don't know about tearing down the missile though, because that's all that their picture was. So I mean, if they had made it smaller, it just would not. It would have been like you didn't fill the space.
It's a composition thing too. It's the way it's framed off center. Like if it was, I don't think the missile needs to be changed at all. If it was framed center, and the background had more detail or more like layering of different colors of blue, I think that would have been a good fix. But it seems like they committed so hard into like the mounting point of the missile couldn't be moved around a whole lot. So
and what confuses me, and they showed a brief shot of the backside of this, and there was a Technic battery or motor or something. I don't quite know what else was going on. I think some stuff.
The lights. They had some lights going on.
Yeah, but even that still, I don't know. It just seemed like there was something else we didn't see that was giving them additional troubles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the wires, first of all, those are stiff and they get everywhere. The new power ups are awful.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, packing them inside a tube going out into the wall, I don't know. I would have liked to have heard more about what their real challenge was, because it wasn't just time. They were trying to do something technical that just wasn't working, is what it seemed like.
But if they'd shown us that, we would have been shortchanged on Will Arnett's shtick, and the audience has to have.
I think another solution.
Remember it.
I think another solution that would have been a nice adaptation, like to improve this, would be some foreground brick-built clouds,
but again, it's that composition of the picture that they gave you.
Yeah, that's true.
The background was all blue. There was almost nothing.
It was the blandest.
That's true.
Picture
That's true.
It was the blandest picture of them all. So,
and sorry, just to say the size of the missile, I do remember them kind of measuring on like the size of the fig, like the size of Captain Marvel versus the missile, and they tried to scale it to that size.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons the missile is as large as it is, and it did give them the ability to get a lot more detail in there as well. So.
Well, and I'll give them some props though. They didn't complete the background, but what they did complete actually, you've got some color and you've got some, some fading in there and some, pixelization in there that gives that engine glow a glow and everything and the energy around her. So props for that and everything, but it just seems like they definitely mismanaged their time.
Yeah.
I think Jamie said the same thing there, Chris. He said he really liked the missile. He liked all the details.
Yeah.
It was fragile, but it looks very nice. It looks polished and complete for the most part. But I have to agree with everything else.
Yeah. The way they edited the episode too, it did seem like they waited till the last 30 minutes to build that background. And I don't know how much of that is actually accurate, but Amy and Jamie did come up to them and say they needed the background. So why, to me, if they're coming up to you and saying something, that becomes your priority almost, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, and then who knows about editing and stuff, how it looked like everybody was almost done and watching them and hurting for them and everything. Has that, for y'all's experience, do some teams finish a lot earlier and just kind of have to watch everybody, or is everybody bricking until bricks down?
That sounds like Brennan and Greg. They're always like, what do we do with this extra time?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember with Monster Camp, we were just we got done probably like a good hour before it was all done. And they were like, well, I guess just build more bushes.
Yeah.
And they just built more bushes and just placed them around and more minifigures. So
what's funny?
That was minifigure placement, and that was foliage. It was like, I love foliage parts. It's like,
it was a lot of fun.
When you grab all the leaves and it's like, oh,
so good.
And that's then the next episode with the golf one, I got carried away with foliage too.
Steven, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the rule is, even if you're done, you can't just really quit. If you're done, then tinker or find a new little thing to put in there. Please don't stop building. Keep building. Don't want to stand around. That doesn't look good. We're not paying you guys to stand around. We're paying you guys to build. So please build. So that was their go ahead and do that. So what happened with me and Mark? We'd usually be done around maybe 30 to 45 minutes early. That's when we were on a good day. And then we'd start a new project, and then I'm like, uh-oh, time's running out. I gotta hurry. And then I'd start hurrying on this little side thing, and that's what happened with us. Every stinking time we'd have extra time. It was we'd start to pressure's on, finish the astronauts, But for these guys here, in this episode, I thought I saw Steven just kind of staring there, about to just start bawling, just watching these guys. And the lights look different. I think this was after the challenge was over. They caught some almost B-roll of people just sort of watching them, go through this incredibly traumatic moment. I think some of that was when the challenge was over.
I just shared the picture. I found the same picture on the webs of their actual missile, because I noticed Moto said the missile should be burning and not white. And it is white. And it actually caught me too, because the lights were green and not blue, and their model was blue. But
if you think about if you look,
I
at
just
that,
realized what that ring was. It's the flare. The camera
Yeah,
flare is
lens
that
flare.
ring.
And they have that at the top because I guess they had to piece it in there as best they could. It was supposed to go around the bottom. And I bet you they were going to put it at the bottom. They couldn't get it to work with the geometry of the stand.
Yeah.
And so then they just had to put it in.
I didn't realize what the ring was. I thought that was like, yeah, that's interesting.
But guys,
there's
take a
some
look at
clouds
this
in the bottom,
background.
bottom left.
75% of it at least is nothing.
Yeah.
right?
Like,
That-
how do you
that's
work
why
with
this
that?
That's why this is such a horrible figure to have gotten. I mean, this is
What a
just a
bad
horrible
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Adam would have nailed that lens flare though, because he knows all about it.
Probably would actually. Probably would.
Maybe.
I really think this is why Liam spent so much time on the ship, because
That's all that's there.
that's all that's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Mhm.
ship in a giant blue background. I mean, to his credit, he did what he focused in on what he had in the image to work with, and then just ran out of time.
It was
It is-
interesting that it was a gray missile and not like a dark gray or black. I'm guessing it's because of part availability or something, but
Yeah,
I would
probably.
expect it to be darker.
But even again, still, you're looking at a dark ship on a dark background with two
Yeah.
pieces of
Here's
light.
the question, because it is like, I mean, part of me, it's sad to watch a strong team who's had an impact on the
Yes.
show
Who
go
We won the
home.
last episode.
Yeah.
Exactly. The thing is like any other team that got this, that was active in this stage of the competition, what would they have done differently? You know, like honestly,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
I feel like, you know, and from a production standpoint, why not give this to the guys who have the golden brick, and you know, like
True.
let them do that. Like I feel
Yeah.
like every team would have struggled and probably would be in the bottom two should they receive this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
why
feel
I-
fair.
I
I
agree.
do think it was a random draw, though. I really do. This
Yeah,
whole
it would
thing was a random
Even when
draw.
they
for us.
showed all the pictures up in the beginning of the episode and they showed this one, I was like, ooh, I would not want that one.
Yeah.
So,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I must get going. Thanks for
Oh,
having me. I
Dom.
really appreciate it.
See ya.
Uh,
Thanks for stopping by.
Take care. See y'all next time.
Later,
hey,
Dom.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say this real quick. Emily and Liam, they were. I don't know the ending of season 3 at all. I do not have any spoilers whatsoever. I suspected they'd be in the top 3. I'm like, just based on their performance, I'm like, this is a top 3 team.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Oh yeah.
Steven, I called that. I called that. Think after like episode 2 or 3, I said they're going to the end
Because you
they're
saw the
strong
technique,
builds.
you saw the camaraderie between the team.
Mhm.
The teamwork between them is so underrated, and you could tell that both of them maybe Emily didn't quite have the infrastructure how to build. Clearly, the artistic talent to pull her weight for
Agreed.
sure.
Yeah.
And Liam, on the other hand, was just smashing it. Like he was some really good idea after good idea. They're not always put together perfectly. Like maybe they'd have some time issues or whatever. Most teams had that issue, but when they go home, it's like, not gonna lie, I've seen both my nightmares play out in season 3. One is where you just crash and you can't keep building there, and you go hide away in the studio for hours. And then this one is just you flat out run out of time. The build is not done. Those are both my absolute nightmares.
Oh yeah.
And this is the closest I've ever come to crying on Lego Masters watching it. Like,
Yeah.
It was
this
hard.
affected me. This
was hard
goodbye
to watch.
affected me.
Yeah.
So I just want to give them I don't know if they're watching, but give them a shout out. They were
They crushed it.
top
Yeah.
3 top 3 team,
Mhm.
and it's
They were
a
the
shame
Cinderella
it didn't
story
go.
at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Shame
also
it
the
didn't
first time, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the first mother-son team, it's great to see like that
Yeah.
dynamic go far when it's such a new, you know, dynamic or newer
Yeah.
team makeup essentially. So
I haven't got a lot of screen time for that yet. It's,
So did they made a point to show it, and he wasn't acting. Will was losing his. He was emotionally
all of them were crying.
unstable.
Mhm.
He liked that kid. I think he liked that kid for how much he was kind and awesome to his
Respectful.
mom, and the
Yeah.
mom was there. I mean, what is it? The line from Scrooge. Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel. Another one. When I showed him his mother, Niagara Falls. All right, that's just what happens on.
Yep.
But I think Will actually really liked that team, liked that kid, and so it was tough on them.
Also, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but you at one point this came to mind, especially when Jamie was saying goodbye. Jamie was really losing it. If I'm wrong, but Jamie would go to conventions with his mom, correct?
Yep. Yep, he would.
Yeah.
Yep, he would.
I wonder if he was
most likely
remembering
with his mom.
something when he was sending him home.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could be.
Well, and
That
I
really turned him on.
I joked with the guys on our private chat that it from this point forward, it's gonna suck every time someone goes home.
Ethan, it sucked when y'all went home. It sucked when y'all went home.
No,
Wow.
I was ready while watching. I was ready for me to be gone. I was rooting against.
Get him out of here!
And that's
From this point on.
Let me preface this. It's not so much that the teams that went home earlier weren't as important or were not as good builders, but now we have developed a relationship with all these teams. Even the teams that went home in the first episode, had they made it to this far, it would be more detrimental to watch them go home than it was to watch them go home in the first episode, because we've now invested time with these team members, and now we feel like they're part of our Lego family, and we crush and we crumble when we see something happen bad to our family that we don't want to see happen. So it's going to be hard from here on out. I'm just saying.
So let me
because there's only one American team left.
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
I'm going to buy a bunch of American flags.
Did you guys notice the difference, though, in the ending of the two episodes? When the doctors went home, they were smiling to get out of there. There was not the big pour of crying emotion. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, they're close and everything.
A little bit.
They were like, we're out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because they're probably not getting their doctor pay. They're getting the stipend from the show.
Yeah,
and
probably losing money.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm trying to think through the teams. I know they're family men with a family at home, if I'm not mistaken, right? They've got their own kids and spouse and everything, but no one else. I'm thinking, or do they? I can't remember.
Well, we know that Greg's wife was pregnant at the time.
That's true. That's true. He found out he's got a bun in the oven, right?
Liz has a son and a husband, obviously, and everything. A number of them did have families, if I remember.
And I think Michelle and Taco, they have, or at least Michelle has kids. Yeah. So you know, family members do have kids, but I think at this point in time, you're right.
I don't think we can make assumptions about who wants to stay or go based on whether they're married. Like, I think that's a wrong road to travel down. Well, there could be a single person on there who gets tired and wants to go home. I mean, your willingness to go home could have absolutely nothing to do with your marital status or your child status.
I mean, look at Steven and Mark. They were ready to go home, and they were just, you know.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that. But when they got to heave ho, they weren't all like, "We're so sad to be leaving." We're like, "We're out the door."
So I totally get what you're saying, Chris, because Liam, I firmly believe Liam, he had the confidence to get a shot at the win, at the W. And I think Emily had the same vibe. They wanted to win. You could see it in his eyes. There's a little bit of that healthy competitive streak there.
That's with every team now, though, too. Like that's what makes it interesting, is that the margin for build skill now is thin. You know, these are good builders, and all of them. And Liam and Emily, they, like you said, they wanted to be in the final. They wanted to win, and it feels like the doctors in the last episode, whether they were tired or not, it's like, all right, like, okay, get back to your lives. Good job on the show. Like, let's get to the people who are super committed, super hardcore, ready to take it to the end. So I think that's what makes this exciting, and the investment and all that pay off too. Yeah. So
I mean, your top five, top four, you're looking, this is we're at a shot to getting in the final now with possibly 3 or 4, whatever. Right. I mean, you got a shot. So this is winning the lottery and losing it by a number, or losing the lottery by one number rather than, going all the way.
Yeah.
But their story being relatable, mom and son, that was a lot of emotion there too. And
I want to meet them one day. I really do.
Me too. But you know what? I mean, we complain about Fox picking teams and having a story. We bought in on that one, man, because it's very natural, right? His mom. I mean, I can't imagine me watching Jake and Melanie on a TV show, and then they lose, and I'll be everybody. I mean, it just pulls on those heartstrings.
Yeah. But if they couldn't build and they'd gone home in week 2 because Fox put on a father or a son and mother, we wouldn't be heartbroken, right? It's the combination of both the skill and the person, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to confess that I completely underestimated this team. The first week or two, I just assumed that the son did all the building and the mom was just there and, you know, trying to hang with her son. But as they kept going, I'm like, there's no way they can keep putting out high quality builds if it's one person on the team doing everything. So, you know, we can't see exactly how much she's building, but by inference, she had to be pulling her weight on that team. And so as it went along, I went from being like, okay, you know, here's this, you know, parent-child team that they cast. But then I started to go, no, they're not just cast, like they know how to build. And I had a lot more respect and I rooted for them, frankly, a lot more as they got deeper into the contest, because I realized this wasn't just some casting director, you know, wanting to tick a box. Like these people had skill and I admired them for what they were putting out.
Not to say that they weren't checking a tech box first, and then we found out they had skill. But that's
them for the show was a match made in heaven. Let's just say that they had everything they needed to be on that show for sure.
They hit all the check boxes.
Yeah. All right, here's a question. Let's be honest with you. Probably he had 60-70% of the build skill on the team, which is a little uneven. But your mom is never going to. Well, in this case. She's never going to be going, you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Or do you even know Lego?
Hey,
she's going to go, sweetheart, you can do it. Sweetie, you got this. That can push you along. That kind of encouragement can push you along.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, 100%.
First of all, I don't think they're, except for maybe Steven and Steven, because their lives depend on each other for work. I don't think there was another team in there that may have had better communication, in my opinion. Just on like who has better communication. Brothers, okay, you got an argument there, but a mother and a son, that communication, a good relationship with that. I mean, who can top that? Like, I mean, really, who can top that?
Yeah.
So that was a secret weapon that I don't think I haven't touched on that. Like, you know, communication, and the sort of team dynamic they would have.
But your comment about Steven and Steven, that raises a good point on the fact of them being able to work together well, because you know, I can think back to some of my past coworkers who, you know, you joke about them being like work spouses, even if it's two guys. I mean, because I've had multiple guys who have been, I spent more time with in any given week than I do with my spouse, much less if I had kids. And I bet you the communication that I would have with some of those guys, where I wouldn't even have to say something and they knew what I was doing and where I was coming from because of that much time together. And that's an advantage for Steven and Steven for sure.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a sort of job where if one mistake could lose your life or lose somebody's life.
Yeah,
like I mean, that's powerful. That's really
pressure.
dangerous.
That's pressure.
Yeah,
the amount of trust, like with a team, that's really important.
Yeah,
trust. That's a good way to say. Yeah, good word.
And also, if you have a disagreement, you figure out, okay, we'll just work through this. Either we'll compartmentalize and come together and get it done, or it's your turn, you're in charge. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
You have that camaraderie built in. So,
and you know the signs when someone is buckling and they don't know it. So that's also really important.
Yep.
Like if someone is struggling and they don't see it, which can very easily happen, they know when to help. So stuff like that is also really powerful.
Like when your teammate is about to break down in tears and you don't know what to do for them, that can have an impact.
Yeah. If you're not raised with the person, or if you're not like, you know, you spend so much time together and that's what
evidently Jeff Inwin is the only person who understood my sarcastic comment to Ethan, and
I'm expecting a picture to appear right in front of me.
I don't have it on here. I thought I'd uploaded it. Dadgummit, I don't have it up here.
I'm confused.
Okay.
I am too, Adam. I don't know what's going on.
Do I need to go find it?
I'll find it.
Was Dom about to cry or something? Or
no, we're talking about the end with Ethan and Dom, where Dom is bent over and Ethan's just going.
It's shared.
There it is. Yeah. Oh, yes. I remember this.
Picture on Lego Masters ever.
You just gotta like a little bit of like this, you know?
Yeah, I should have. At first I thought he was faking, because I remember I was like, what are you doing, Dom? And then I was like, wait, he's actually crying. What do I do?
That looks like me faking an earache and my mom going, you're going to school anyway.
This is very memeable. There's a meme ready to be written here.
Oh yeah, I've already made a meme about it.
Nice.
I have a
Amazing.
caption: when your favorite characters get killed on your favorite show.
This is amazing. I feel
That's
bad for
great.
Dom though. Sorry, Dom.
Yes.
I do. I really felt he felt more of what happened to y'all and everything. He felt responsible for that. So
I don't want to change.
but I think I clicked the same time as you did, Mark. But
Wait, what? Ethan is like, girl, please. What?
Girl, please. Girl, please.
Oh, girl, please.
girl, please,
Yeah.
Girl, please.
Take your hormones and go back.
You guys need to, Ethan. You guys need to like recreate some of these memes like in person. You should like do new versions of them, and that would be great. Like you go to a con, like you got to do the picture with the fans. You know, like
Just the
No, someone needs to go on T Fury and do the screenshot and just put "girl, please" underneath it and sell those. And sell those things at next works per quote. I'm saying it right now.
There you
Oh,
go.
wait. Careful with selling pictures of stuff from Lego Masters. Some people tried to do T-shirts with quotes, and they got legal trouble.
We'll
So
do a
don't that.
cartoon version.
Yeah, careful out there. So.
no, do it with your minifigures. Do it with your minifigures.
Hey, that works. That's
have
fine.
the minifigure.
Real quick, can I go back to what do we think about the winners of this challenge? Because we touched on it. Because
Oh yeah.
unless we're running out of time, I don't want to push
Yeah,
the
yeah,
competition.
We've
too
already
hard,
blown
but-
through time. We got another 3 minutes. Why not?
Okay, so here's the thing. I kind of felt like Greg and Brendan have been snubbed a few times, and I think this was probably one of the worst. Although I have to point out, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but when we made our hat, they knocked us for having too many studs, which I remember Dave Kalita found ridiculous. I kind of saw it. Because Amy mentioned that before in season 2 did I kind of give her some leeway. But come on, it's so cool. It's such a better shot. That movie is way too good.
Again, the golden brick being forced into play. I know we all
were able to
the whole
shove them
concept.
mid-pack and deal with everybody else.
Yeah, I know we love the whole concept of the golden brick, but when you've got the golden brick and one of the top teams has the golden brick for so long, it becomes, it's like, it's just a bad plot point that you want to go away.
Right. I will say I was surprised that I guess mid-episode of the Marvel episode, when Greg was saying to Brendan, just build it. And it was like, it felt like, okay, I wonder how good of a build this will be if it feels like they're just trying to put something together. They've got the golden brick, they're safe. But it is like, it's a snub. It's the best one in the room, for sure. And it's surprising, it's like, just build it. Like he was putting too much effort into the bridge or something like that. And he was like, just throw something together. And it's like, well,
and see,
I wonder how good it'll look. And it looked great.
That's what it's kind of weird that we're going to give the best team of this challenge a get out of jail free card. What are the odds that the best team who won this challenge is going to need the get out of jail free card? Just
what does that mean? What does that mean, Dana?
It means if you're giving the best team a free pass down the road, the odds are they're a team that's not going to need that free pass.
That was our thinking when we gave it to them.
Right. It's like,
it's a good point. It's a good point, but we've seen some really powerful teams trip pretty hard. Like we've seen that happen quite frequently.
But not often enough to warrant there being. If anything, you would think that Fox would be like, oh, we want a team to stumble because that creates more drama. Why give them a parachute?
Well, the drama is they play the golden brick. So.
Well, I would prefer the show without the brick. If it's just a MacGuffin, they waste a bunch of screen time talking about it. Golden brick, golden brick, golden brick. Hey, keep the drama on the contest. It's a contest. Like that's the drama. You don't need to distract us from the drama that's your feature. Like that's what they do.
Or better yet, make there be some relevance to actually winning one of the challenges.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things. At this point in time, it's not so much that you win the challenge, it's that you don't wind up in the bottom 2.
And I think Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember which one did it, but one of them had where you won the brick. It was a titanium brick or something like that,
platinum
and it
brick.
gave you something extra in the next.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up.
In the next challenge, like you basically got a secret. You got to know something ahead of time or whatever, and after that, it was done. It was, and then they would give it away again.
There's actually some tangible reason to move that thing forward versus it just being this.
Preventing,
it's too glorified. I mean, don't get me wrong. And Steven, you guys had it forever. And again, the one team that didn't need to have it had it.
Yeah. And then the Australian version, it feeds into the drama of the week. So, like, hey, will the team that got to start 30 minutes before everyone else, will it make a difference? So you want to see how the prize translates into the finished product.
Exactly. Right. And I hate to bring up the broken record of Australia over and over again because it feels like it's every episode that we do this.
No, you're not offending us, right?
but like even the fun, like the Geordie brick on Australia, where they have Geordie come back and run bricks for the brick pit. That's super funny. Like, and I think that team who got Geordie that week, like, it helped them, but it didn't like put them, super far ahead of the other teams. It wasn't like it saved them from elimination. But it was still a fun advantage, like making an advantage.
And sometimes it gave them nothing. Like sometimes it was like, I think it was Hamish came over and would help them out or something. And obviously he had no skills at all and didn't help them at all. He actually probably hindered them. So just like that randomness of it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on pretty much all of this. It's like it would be fun to see more entertaining rewards for actually winning challenges. That way, winning isn't just that. They don't really tell you
90,000 bricks. I love that part.
There you go.
I mean, that was a really cool twist. That was fun.
But
that was a great twist.
Just the one. And they're experimenting with more twists, so maybe they're learning. But I agree that Australia. I don't like Australia's golden brick though. If you play the golden brick, you're out for that entire challenge. You can't build. Like you're going to sit out the whole episode, which I don't like. I think that America's golden brick is just generally a little better.
But doesn't that go to the fatigue factor? Like if you guys were tired and had played the brick, you could have got 2 days off and just.
It's like getting a bye week.
You would have only gotten about 1 day off, which would have been nice. But I know that Australia is more relaxed to begin with, so it doesn't give you that much advantage. For us, that would have been nice, but a lot of people are complaining, and even the builders, when they go back for the judge, and they see all these builds, are like, how can I miss out on this? So they try to give a pro and con to the golden brick, which I think is kind of silly. Plus,
guys, we need to call the producers and be like, we've got notes. Listen, we've got notes.
The producers have like 5 people over top of that, so that's not happening.
Brad Pitt, I'm sorry, Brad Pitt, we've got notes.
Mr. Pitt, yes, it's me again. No, but I agree. The golden brick is I felt kind of funny having it. Like, we're doing good, we're winning. It's like we got the golden brick. I felt like is this a little overpowered what I'm holding here? I don't know. It's just it's got pros and cons, but it does add. It does add something though. It adds that little bit that the audience really likes.
It's more of a flex.
It is.
It's a flex.
Shiny. It's very shiny.
Although I will say, in defense of Lego Masters, I know that by the time we got to the finale, they told us that they would take into consideration our performance over the entire show. And on our side of things, we're thinking, oh, well, maybe that has to do with wins and top 2s. So I think that the judges are closely paying attention to who's scoring really well, and they're basing that on who gets to.
It would be nice if they actually
partially base their final decision partially on how you performed during the show. So they told us that, and it's part of their consideration. I mean, it makes sense, really. Like, how well did they do? Is it just lucky? So we'll roll with it. But I agree. If they had more prizes for winning, I think it'd be a lot more fun. I think everyone would be more enticed to go for the win. Like with the 90,000 bricks, that's a start. Kudos for a start. Yeah.
So. In the first episode, I believe the Stevens ship went to something with NASA.
Oh yeah, that was
their ship cool went
Kennedy Space Center. That's freaking cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Granted, if it was a spaceship and not a fire symbol, but again, it's still cool.
Everybody pull Ethan right now.
And he's gone.
Hey, you were doing
what
this.
happened?
You froze. You froze like this.
So if the Stevens do win Lego Masters, though, that'll be actually kind of interesting because then they all have 2 models on display in 2 different places, possibly, because they tend to put a model in
Legoland somewhere.
In Legoland, yeah, exactly. So,
and it'll
got
prove
the
that
ribbon.
teams with a Steven do better in Lego Masters.
Ethan said about the ribbon. You were talking about the dog ribbon. Yeah.
That's right, the dog ribbon too. That's a good
And
one.
the golf, they got the double jacket.
That's okay. A few little things here and there. Now that I'm remembering, you're right,
Yeah.
Ethan. There, throwing a few bones for people. That's
Yeah, but
well,
something significant though. Nothing. I mean, something like
Like
that.
90,000 bricks.
Now, if they had given
I'm
them
going-
2, if instead of doing the one big jacket for the 2 of them, if they had both had their own individual jacket with a cool Lego golf logo on it,
that would have been kind of cool.
that would have been
no.
over the top.
The Augusta National would have come after them hard had they gotten any closer to calling it the Masters when it came to golf and everything. No. I'm being real serious. They don't play
Right.
with that stuff. They would have come at them hard. So
That's
That would
true.
be entertaining to watch the Lego lawyers and the Masters lawyers go head-to-head. I'd watch that.
you don't want to mess with some of them boys from Augusta. Let me just say right now.
And you want to watch? You want to
Right.
deal with those guys who are dealing with the Lego trademark? Come on.
Can you imagine that fight? That's like they're throwing Disney in there just for fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the lawyers.
Oh, man. That would be
and
so
Universal because of Jurassic Park. So
Oh, that's true.
they come all
that
this
would be
year.
like Anchorman, where all the news anchors gather and they all fight.
We just watched that last night, and I was like,
That would
this is
be
the
that
best
scene.
part of the
That'd be that
movie
scene,
right
yeah.
here.
That would be it. That'd be it.
All right. Well, we have gone way over time, but this has been a lot of fun. We did 2 other episodes to cover, but that was great. So there is no Lego Masters
I'm
show
sharing it
this
right now.
week. So we will have a messy Thursday, or we'll talk about something. There's a lot of Lego news that we haven't hit on lately and everything. And then we'll be back whenever they show more Lego Masters.
I'm
We'll do
sharing
so.
the schedule.
Oh, there we go. Did I hit it at the same time as Mark, which usually happens?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
So 9 days and 16 days.
I
Is
want to
this-
see
is
that
this-
car one really bad. That looks like a lot of fun.
Okay, in
Mhm.
America,
Everywhere.
we put dates on things we don't count. This is like
Hold on.
Canadian
There you go.
metric
There you go.
time.
Wednesday, December 27th.
Okay,
Wednesday,
thank you.
December 7th, and December 14th. So the next 2 Wednesdays.
When is the Christmas special?
It's a couple of weeks after that, I think, or a week after.
I think they're playing that like
Oh,
every
I
day
think it
on
was
the week.
December 16th. I think, if I recall
Could be.
correctly. Don't quote me on that, please.
So basically, the finale is a 2-hour finale. So
Hold on.
they do waterworks and
Yeah, it's not on here. They don't have it yet.
I got you.
Interesting.
But they did advertise.
I want
wait,
to
I
see
think-
that. I want to see that.
They've already
Yeah.
announced it. I know the date's out there, but
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
nice.
For the Christmas special,
Random Lego shot of the afternoon.
That's-
Yeah,
We've
we-
already- it's the
Canadian
second time we've
defense
seen
against
your-
Godzilla.
for the Christmas special, the Atlanta of us should get together and do it like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and like not show the screen, but just have a running, critique. And you could play that live in the background as you watch the show.
I like that.
That would be hilarious.
That would be.
that would be fun. I'm down. That would be fun.
That's fun.
Um,
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for being here. This has been a lot of fun, a lot of great conversation, and awesome. Great. Congratulations to those who won. We hate those who lost, especially the fact that it put Canada menacingly in the lead for American Lego Masters. So
there's a
I'm
chance
sorry.
Canadians make it to the final, so that's good.
Yeah, North American Lego. Everybody's holding up mocks and stuff with me. I don't care. I haven't built bricks in a while. Is that a Doctor Strange cape on that? That's hilarious.
Hey, that's cool.
Face. All right, everybody, be awesome and build awesome. Have a great night. What? That's kind of
Somewhere
weird.
he has a red feather in his cap that is missing, so that's the only thing that's missing.
That's amazing.
I have one of those red feathers in here. All right, everybody, have a great night. Be awesome and build.